My name is Megan, and this is a video of my husband going through our home gym. It's in a two-car garage home. It's a townhome, and just showing all the pieces we managed to squeeze in there, some of the things that we thought was most important to us. And yeah, I just wanted to explain that this was a purchase that we knew was going to be expensive, and we're really happy we did it. We're really happy we spent the money on it because it has brought us a lot of joy. And if there's something that you're thinking about doing, I would just start doing it. Start collecting those pieces little by little. Do your research on what is going to offer you the most in the littlest amount of space. And I hope our video of our home gym helps you out a little bit. Totally worth it.
Hello, welcome to a tour of the garage gym. So we'll start out in the front of the garage. On the right here, one of the first things that we got was a glute ham developer, or GHD. Most of the stuff in here is from Rogue Fitness, including this. I believe this is the Abram 2.0. And one thing that's nice about this version of a GHD is it's fairly easy to adjust with a pop pin, and you can bring the foot pad closer or further, which is very handy because my wife is much shorter than me, so we need to adjust it very quickly. She loves this and uses it quite a bit more than I do. I really like this for abs. I think it's like the most enjoyable way to do a sit-up. I hate getting down on the ground unless I have to. The GHR, the glute ham raise exercise, and the back extensions, they're like okay. I like the 45-degree back raise better, but this has obviously more versatility than that. So it's a nice piece that we use pretty much every single week. And then going to the left, we also got a combo unit from Life Fitness that has leg curl and leg extension. This is probably one of the nicest pieces of equipment we have, and one of the few that was bought brand new and delivered and installed, sort of the full service. It was through their outlet site, so it was still discounted, but it was definitely one of the nicer, more premium products we decided to buy. And in a home gym, it really is kind of tough to do a lot of leg exercises that you see at a normal gym relative to, say, upper body exercises. I feel like you can get away with a lot of upper body on a barbell, a couple dumbbells, a pull-up bar, but you'll see most of our machines are basically lower body centric, and that's why it's just much harder to mimic those without them. Great, love it, use that 4 times a week between the wife and I probably, and couldn't be happier with that. So that was definitely a good purchase. On the ground down there, you can also see a landmine handle for a T-bar row, and that slides over a barbell collar from Rogue Fitness, and you can do some landmine rows, which are a little bit more stable, a little bit more fun, a little bit more enjoyable. Not too expensive of attachment, definitely not necessary, but they're fun. I like them. On the backside here, we have a Cybex leg press. This, I think, is considered the version 1, so it doesn't have sort of the rounded, curved edges of the version 2. This one was bought through a website that refurbishes them, so secondhand, but they sort of reupholster and repaint everything. That's why you also don't see all the Cybex stickers on it. That was delivered and installed as well. Really long wait time on it, but it works perfectly fine. Awesome piece of equipment. Use this a few times a week as well between the wife and I. Back adjusts a few different positions. I think there's 3 adjustments on the back, and then it has some weight storage on it, which is handy so that we don't have all the plates in one place on the rack. They're kind of spread out. And these 45s we also use on the deadlift platform behind it. Right in front of it, we have our barbell storage, which is great. A couple of these bars we use all the time. Some of them we hardly ever use. The one in the back here was a Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, I believe. During the pandemic, one of the only ones we could find nearby when everything was sold out. So first barbell, could probably get rid of it, don't use it a ton, but it's also sort of a nice beater bar if you need one for whatever reason. Bought a curl bar from a friend who was getting rid of it, so just really cheap. He didn't want it. He actually got one that you can rack in the power rack, and so we took this from him. My favorite bar by far, this is the Ohio Power Bar from Rogue Fitness. Got the center knurl for squats, which makes it so much better to squat with compared to the Ohio bar. So this would be the Ohio Power Bar, a little thicker, better knurling. Ohio bar, no center knurling. It's also more passive and slippery when you are trying to deadlift or anything requiring grip. And then a couple specialty bars. This one is the safety squat bar from Rep Fitness, and it is awesome. I love this thing. It's really hard, like much harder than I was expecting. I've front squatted plenty before. I've high bar squatted, pause squats, but this is just much harder, way harder. And I think it's just a combination of the pad itself sets it up much higher than a high bar squat, so it's higher on your body, placing it further away from your hips when you're squatting, so just a longer lever arm. And the camber on the bar pitches you forward pretty aggressively, so it just is a real fight to get back up. This specialty bar is the multi-grip cambered bar from Rep Fitness also. So both of these bars from Rep Fitness, they're both awesome. I think from what I've seen for price and just quality of the bars, their specialty bars right now seem to be beating everyone. There are nicer, more expensive things out there from other companies, but you're not getting a bunch of extra benefits for that extra cost other than a little bit premium feel. One thing I love about both of these is the collars are the standard Olympic size, so you can use a regular collar on these. A lot of them, including the ones from Elite FTS, which was sort of my primary choice originally, have a tube that is not the standard size, and so your collars won't work, so you gotta get special collars on top of buying the bar. Just kind of a pain in the ass. I do like the camber here, so you get a little extra stretch at the bottom when you're doing the wide grip, which is nice. And let's see, I guess the last specialty bar we have that's not in this rack is down on the floor behind here, which is a Rogue Fitness deadlift bar. This bar and the power bar, they're both bare steel, so if you have a lot of moisture, they are gonna rust. We don't have a ton of moisture being in California, Southern California, I guess. But you can see there's a little discoloration. It would come off with a little 3-in-1 oil, but mostly it's just me and the wife using it, and we haven't really had any rust problems. In fact, the rustiest part of all of the bars are the end of this collar where our puppy likes to chew on it and slobber, and so her saliva is making it rust a little bit. Deadlift jack from Rogue Fitness. This is something I have wanted for a long time because anyone that deadlifts frequently knows it is a pain in the ass to rack and unrack the plates on the end of these. So now you can pop this up really quickly, very easily. Some people get a smaller deadlift jack and do one side at a time, but then you're having to jack it twice. I figured if I was gonna get a jack, just get the nicer, well, not necessarily nicer, but larger footprint, heavier for sure, so kind of a pain if you're wanting to take it to a gym, but here at the house it doesn't move, and it makes hip thrusting and deadlifting just so much easier and faster, and that makes it more enjoyable. Underneath the deadlift area, there are 2 horse stall mats instead of 1, so throughout the whole garage you see these black mats. These are just from Tractor Supply, horse stall mats, 4x6. I think they are 3/4 of an inch, and they're about 100 pounds. So these things suck to move around. So get them in place, have some friends or a wife that's also strong and fit, because these things suck. I was sweating profusely moving these around. But we do have 2 layers of that under the deadlift, so if we are dropping a lot of weight, it's not going to damage the concrete. On this side, we have the actual Rogue Fitness power rack. Originally purchased, it was just 4-post, and this would be the 4-post Monster Light power rack. So this is 3 by 3 inches on the uprights. These holes are a couple inches apart for most of it, but they have a 1-inch hole spacing down where you're going to be benching. So if you need to adjust the height for your bench in smaller increments, you can, which is really nice. Again, especially for me and my wife being radically different sizes in terms of arm lengths, you can get it to the exact height you want. We've got J-cups with some UHMW plastic in there, which sort of protects the barbells from getting banged up as you smash them into the rack, which is always a plus. But originally just the 4 posts. Since then, you can see we've added onto it with a bunch of attachments. So on this side, we added what is considered the Rogue Fitness Slinger product. And this slinger comes with different options for the cable system. We chose to just get the selectorized stack rather than a plate option or even a band option because it's faster and easier and more enjoyable to switch. So we can both do rows and pull downs with the switching of the pin. Very quick, very seamless. This shipped with all of those plates individually wrapped, and it was actually pretty easy to assemble overall. It actually was not too bad. You just slide these plates onto the guide rods and go. For that, we have a few attachments as well. So in front here, we have the lat pull down seat and knee pads, which is adjustable with a pop pin as well for people of different heights. On the bottom, we have a foot plate for low rows, and you can see there is a cable running all the way down here for the low row. We have the D handle or dual D handle, I guess, close grip row attachment. If you want to switch to the pull down, you're just going to have to switch over here, and then you can attach as you like. Either this one, which is great. This is a Gympin product. Gympin is a company in the UK, but it's a small company. They make good stuff. This is actually a stainless steel version that they've since stopped making, but this allows you to do various grip widths for rowing, pull down, etc. I have these long attachment style D handles because I can then use our adjustable bench to do chest supported rows and pull downs, which is awesome. So when I'm not using that one, typically going to use the Rogue Fitness stainless steel lat pull down. This thing is awesome, very heavy, so could probably be a little lighter, but nice having stainless steel version of stuff where you'd never really have to worry about rust. And this is great for the pull down. When I'm not doing chest supported stuff, I like this one. On the other side of the 4 posts, we added an extra upright with a dip attachment. This is just the Monster Light Matador from Rogue, and then a dip belt to do some weighted dips or weighted pull-ups, which at the same time we got the dip attachment, we also decided to change the pull-up bar option to the multi-grip. I think that's considered like a monkey bar style pull-up grip, but it just allows you to place your hands at differing parallel or neutral grips rather than just doing overhand or underhand, which the underhand is becoming more and more uncomfortable and just difficult to get into position. So neutral is awesome, feels the best on everything that involves my elbows or shoulders or wrist, and it just feels stronger and more stable. So I love doing pull-ups this way. In between the 2 uprights on the back here is a hip thrust pad, which is difficult to adjust. So it doesn't really get used as often as I was hoping, to be honest. It is something that I think with a better attachment system, the detent pins here don't really line up perfectly with the actual metal attachment piece, and it becomes just very difficult to move in and out. But in an ideal world, I could move this down lower than it actually goes. That's the lowest you can really set it in this rack. So if that could be set lower and was easier to adjust, I'd get a lot more use. It's just the stable backpack to do hip thrust. In the center is a box squat. It is adjustable in height, but similarly, it's kind of a process to adjust the height, so we really just leave it at this height. My wife and I both can squat onto this For her, it's probably just at or maybe a little above parallel. And for me, it's just at or just below parallel. So it's fine either way. But super heavy, super stable. You can sit down on this with 300, 400, 500 pounds. I mean, people have done 1,000-pound squats sitting down onto this, and it's not going to fall out from underneath you, which is really good to know. Definitely don't want to sit on anything that could collapse when you're squatting heavy. Aside from actual box squats, we also do step-ups onto this. Occasionally we'll use it for the rear foot on a Bulgarian split squat, but not quite as often for me. But yeah, just a nice stable seat. Some knee sleeves from SBD here. These are just for squatting, not really doing anything else. And then in the front of the rack, I guess it's the back of the garage, but I think of it as the front of the rack, is where we primarily bench out of. So typically we are squatting inside the rack, and we will use the strap safeties to do so. The reason we go with the strap safeties for squatting is you can't miss them. So if I put that strap safety all the way across over to the other side, and I happen to fail a squat in my garage where no one is around to help me, you cannot miss this. So the bar is going to hit this. The safety strap in this case is a very strong but soft material, and so it's much quieter. You're not going to nail steel on steel and have a huge rattle. It protects your bars when it hits it, so you're not going to bend the bar either, which is also nice. So just sound, your expensive bars aren't damaged in any way, and you can't miss them. So I could fall face first on the ground and the bar will never touch me, which is perfect for at home. In the front though, we just have a 24-inch safety spotter arm, which when benching, not a huge deal. Laying flat on this bench, if I fail the bench attempt, it hits a hard surface here and prevents it from hitting your throat or head. But I'm not worried about missing it towards my legs. If for whatever reason your bench failed and went to your legs and hit your knees, like yeah, it would hurt. It's not going to kill you. But these are way faster to adjust and set up for benching. So we basically bench on this side, squat in the middle, more or less. It also, if we really want to, it allows us to then bench and squat at the same time, which I occasionally will squat and bench on the same day, and I can kind of superset-ish them. Or occasionally, if we have friends or just want to work out together, occasionally we use both sides of the bench. So it's kind of having two stations in one. In the middle is the adjustable bench. I think this is a 3.0 from Rogue. Maybe it's the 2.0. I know it's not the 1.0. Either way, adjustable bench from Rogue. Back goes all the way up to 85 degrees, and then there's a few settings on the front here. I love this thing for anything involving the incline, but my preference is definitely the flat bench when I am flat benching. So typically a incline bench press or incline shoulder press, or what I use it for more than anything, to be honest, is just chest supported rows. So you can lay face down on it and do either dumbbell rows, or if I roll it over to our cable station, I can do the cable rows with a chest support. Just makes you a lot more stable. You can focus on your back better without having to stabilize your upper body and lower body, especially through your lower back like a barbell row. So use this a ton, probably 3 times a week. But for flat benching, specifically of any kind, this bench is definitely better. For a couple of reasons. One, it's a little higher, so the height is correct, especially a competition bench press height. It should be this height, so this one is a little too low. And then also this one is wider, so when you're actually resting on the back flat, I think this is 12 inches instead of 11. And I can notice the difference. I think for someone smaller, and I'm not that large by any means, but if you were a small female, this might be a better width for you in general. But this is more stable. You definitely don't feel like you're shifting around as much on a flat bench. And then behind me, there is a small dumbbell rack, and this also comes from Rep Fitness. So the specialty bars before and the dumbbells all come from Rep Fitness. These are 5 pounds to 50 pounds. And one reason I went with them over other companies was just their use of a straight handle, and it has knurling on that straight handle. So I prefer that compared to the contoured grip, I guess you would call it, sort of those oval-shaped grips that are usually smoother as well. But those are great. Use them for anything, for biceps, triceps, shoulders, and some chest-supported rows on the adjustable bench. And then I believe outside of a few knickknacks, the only thing left to talk about would be things like the plates in here. So knickknacks on our way to the plates would be things like these collars. These are just Rogue HG collars. Very secure. I've never had them slip on the barbell. No matter what I'm doing, squatting, deadlifting, benching, the plates have never moved with those, so those are great. We have 2 sets of them just so we can both use them at the same time. And then up above, we have a few belts. My first belt, I believe this was from a company called Best Belts, and it really is awesome, actually. I love this belt, but it is 10 millimeters instead of 13 millimeters thick, so it's a little flexible compared to my second one here, which is just a thicker belt. So it's just a little more supportive when you're bracing really hard. This is from Pioneer, and they make awesome belts, including custom ones, which, of course, my wife got a custom belt. Sparkly on the outside, teal on the inside. She also got the fancy adjustable lever, which is nice, so this goes on and off way quicker than mine. And her stomach size doesn't change as often as mine, so that works for her. Mine, I have the single prong, and this is known as the Pioneer cut, which gives you a 1/2 inch adjustment instead of 1 inch adjustment because of the offset. So if you are gaining or losing weight throughout the year, you don't have to get a new belt, which is nice. And then we have on the other side over here, some stretch bands from Rogue Fitness, which we use for all sorts of stuff. I have used things like these small red ones for reverse band benching or squatting, just to try them out. I do like reverse band benching, squatting, whatever, don't really care. And then the bigger, thicker bands I tend to use for stretching, either loosening up my hips or hamstrings, or a lot of our friends that come over and want to work out are just not strong enough to do pull-ups on their own. So having a stretch band like this, we have had people who can't do a single pull-up do multiple sets of pull-ups using those, and it is pretty fun. It gives you the feeling of doing a pull-up, but you just have a lot of help at the bottom where it's pretty hard, and so that kind of gets them going. Behind that, there's a couple jump ropes over here, which I don't use too often, and then a couple small ankle cuffs that we can attach to the low cable unit here for any sort of hip flexion exercises or glute exercises to the side or back, working in the glute med or glute max with hip extension and hip abduction. And then finally, I guess the only thing left is just the plates. So one of the biggest, most expensive, and heaviest purchases you will definitely make are your plates. We got the Rogue deep dish plates, which are awesome. Deep just because the actual rim here is deep. Makes it very easy to grab them and move them around. A lot of competition styles are very thin and very hard to get your fingers on and actually grab. But these are awesome, no complaints here. The only complaint about these plates are that they have not had the 2.5 pound ones in stock for almost a year now. So we have a full set of the deep dish plates except for the one baby little 2.5 pound plate, which we just had to get I think it's a cap, some cheap Walmart version of a plate. And I think that about covers everything. So that is the tour of the garage gym, and thanks for watching.